certain other the government had that they felt was
All right.
So they had a full sentiment that they trashed out. And so that is why they delayed in the chamber. Now they are found the house started proceedings at home.
Right.
But they are now being tutored for civil to be done.
All right, so Augustus, we see the Speaker of Parliament making his way to the chamber. I guess anytime soon, the President should be delivering that address. So we want to wrap it up here with you. Let's come back into the studio. Dr. Frank Bano is an economist. Let's get your final thoughts, maybe some of the expectations that you have. Then we'll hand over to Parliament, and then we can listen to the address.
Yeah, so rightly, as you said it. So, I mean, before you went to lessons, we were talking about the 24-hour comment. Maybe let me end it. So like the last point I was making was that. So what the clarity is what has been lacking. And if you look at the discussion, I mean, I'm talking about the apolitical discussions surrounding the 24-hour economy. It has been the lack of clarity on the blueprint of the policy. You see, so that is where the issue is now. So the NDC need to go back to the drawing board, maybe think through the feedback that I have seen so far,
right,
and then be able to come back to the Ghanaians and tell, okay, maybe we got it wrong, maybe this is how we intend the policy to be. Now, going back to what I expect...
So we see the President actually taking his seat, so we'll hand over to Parliament and pick the external feed. Stay with us.
Prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision. integrity, and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and our good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, the National Pledge. I promise on my honor Honorable members, at the commencement of public business, honorable members, the House is extremely privileged to have the presence of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces in this August chamber. His Excellency the President is here in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to deliver a message on the state of the nation to this honorable House. On behalf of leadership and all honorable members, it is my privilege and singular honor to welcome His Excellency the President of the Republic to this August House. This is the House of Parliament. This is the House of the people. This is the House of accountability. And this is the House of democracy. Honorable members, Before I invite His Excellency the President to deliver the mission in the State of the Nation, I want, with your kind permission, to recognize the presence in this chamber of the following distinguished personalities. We have Her Excellency, the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. We also have His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Honorable members, order, please. Honorable members, we also have His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia. We have in our presence Her Excellency, the Second Lady, Haja Samira Bawumia. Surely, honorable members, surely we have the spouse of the Speaker, Her Excellency, honorable members, we have the spouse of the Speaker, Her Excellency Alice Adjoa Jonas. Honorable members, we have Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. We have the beloved spouse of the Chief Justice, Mr. Francis Kofi Torkornoo. Honorable members, we have our revered Chairman of the Council of State, Nana Otio Sribo II. And we have the Chief of Staff, the Chief of Staff, as you all know, is in charge of the whole family of the Right Honorable Speaker, Madame Freema Opare. We have His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Honorable members, can we finish? Can we continue? Honorable members, honorable members. Honorable members, honorable members, when the Speaker is on his feet, everybody else is seated and quiet. That is Parliament. Please, this is the formal sitting of Parliament, and all the rules apply. I will not be tempted, and I resist it. to start enforcing some of the rules. I know this is election year, but my words can deselect a lot of you. So please, my words on this chair can deselect a lot of you. Kindly take note and let's proceed. His Excellency, as I mentioned, is the former President of the Republic of Ghana. We have in our midst Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the former First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. We have the Right Honorable Michael Aaron Okoye, the former Speaker of Parliament, my predecessor. We have the National Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, in the person of Mr. Stephen Ayensu Intim. We also have the National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Johnson Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia. We have the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Justin Frimpong Kodua. And we also have the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Fifi Fiave Kweti. We have the veteran former clerk to Parliament, Mr. Samuel N. Darkwa. They started it all even before independence. He was in the Legislative Council, and they supported the late KB Ayensu to establish the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. We have another former clerk to Parliament, my own brother, Mr. Emmanuel Kwesi Anyimedu. We have the heads of our security agencies and our esteemed chiefs, queens, and queen mothers. We have our most revered religious leaders and the dean and members of the diplomatic corps. We have our development partners with us and representatives of various civil society organizations. And definitely, we have our partners, our dependable partners, members of the media. Honorable members, with your kind permission, I may have to end here by acknowledging all the dignitaries and distinguished invited guests with us here. I now have the greatest pleasure in inviting His Excellency the President to deliver his message. Your Excellency, you may deliver your message now.
Mr. Speaker, it is always exhilarating to be back in Parliament and to discharge the duty in fulfillment of Article 67 of the Constitution of delivering to the House a message on the state of the nation, on this occasion for the penultimate time. I have one more still to do. In accordance with protocol and convention, it is good to see that First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, Second Lady Samira Bawumia, the spouse of Mr. Speaker Alice Ajua Jonas, Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and Justices of the Supreme Court, representative of the Chairperson and members of the Council of State, the new Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Thomas Opon-Pepra, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, and service chiefs are all present, as are the Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Mr. Speaker, the House is also duly honored by the welcome attendance of the former President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and former First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to be able to report that the entire territory that makes up our nation is safe, secure, and under the control of the government and people of Ghana. This might sound like a pedestrian statement with which to start a message on the state of the nation. Unfortunately, far from it being an everyday truism, this is no longer a statement or claim that can be easily made in these times in the neighborhood in which we are. West Africa is under threat of terrorism and violent extremism, rapidly spreading southwards from the Sahel to coastal West Africa. We can no longer take the territorial integrity of our countries for granted. Indeed, many of our neighbors have already fallen victim and lost large portions of their territories to extremist groups. And Ghana, by the grace of the Almighty, is the only coastal state along the Gulf of Guinea that has so far not recorded a terrorist attack. The Speaker, the peace and security we have in our country has not happened by chance. It has taken deliberate policy and planning on the part of government and a lot of hard work and dedication on the part of our security services to keep our country safe and secure. I might add that it has also meant that we've had to spend a lot of money that would have otherwise have been available to spend on many of our development needs. But I believe we're all agreed that the primary responsibility of the state towards its citizens is to provide and guarantee peace and security, and we're doing just that. Since we came into office, we've ensured a significant expansion of the armed forces and all the other security agencies. We're paying diligent attention to their welfare as well. The accommodation and physical environment generally of the security agencies are being improved. We've quickened the pace of the retooling and equipping of the security agencies to ensure readiness towards the emerging security threats. For the majority of us, in our everyday activities, it is the security of our streets and homes and communities that concern us most. We want our children and grandchildren to grow up in a safe atmosphere, and the Ghana Police Service played the lead role in this. Again, government has performed most creditably. The police are much better equipped than they have ever been, and their increased visibility on the streets goes a long way to reassure the community. The changing image of the police is perhaps best exemplified by the dramatic facelift they have given to the frontage of the police headquarters on the Ring Road in Accra. It is beautiful, and I recommend it to all institutions and indeed households. Whilst we're spending time, money, and energy and lives keeping the country safe from external dangers, I must add that it is a matter of great concern that we continue to have so many chieftaincy and land disputes around the country, which tend to be breeding grounds for internal tensions and destabilization. Mr. Speaker, I must make special mention of the troubles in Bawku. The tragedy is not only that a thriving and dynamic town is being reduced to a wasteland of destruction and distrust. We're spending money and energy that would have been better spent on development needs of Bawku, providing security to keep brothers and sisters from killing each other. Mr. Speaker, what should concern all of us, and not just the people of Bawku, is that in its current state, Bawku is an alluring magnet to mischief makers and extremists operating a few kilometers away from the border. In a bid to find a lasting solution to the conflict, government has in the past year undertaken a number of measures, including the establishment of a special Bawku task force and the intensification of engagements with the factions for the resolution of the chieftaincy dispute. On the recommendation of the Upper East Regional and National Security Councils, 4 radio stations that have been broadcasting incendiary language and propagating hate speech have been shut down by the National Communications Authority. The Chief Justice, for her part, has also recently established specialized courts in Accra and in Kumasi to deal expeditiously with criminal matters emanating from the Bawku conflict. Government is determined to do all it can to ensure that there's security in every inch of the territory of our country. But it is also very much up to the citizens to help create the needed atmosphere. And I'm thus appealing to all citizens, all Ghanaians, to take the See Something, Say Something campaign of the Ministry of National Security very seriously. There is indeed, Mr. Speaker, a state of palpable anxiety and tension in every corner of West Africa, raising the specter of regional instability, which we thought had been banished. Unconstitutional changes in government in parts of Africa, especially in West Africa, through a series of coups d'etats and military interventions in governance, testify to an unfortunate democratic democratic regression in the region. It is in the interest of democratic growth that this development is reversed as soon as possible, and we in Ghana continue to give maximum support to ECOWAS, the regional body of West Africa, and the AU, Africa's continental organization, in their efforts to restore democratic institutions in the affected nations. We must help stem the tide of this unwelcome evolution and help entrench democracy in West Africa. We believe also that a reform of the global governance architecture, such as the Security Council of the United Nations, to make it more representative and accountable, will help strengthen global peace and stability, and thereby help consolidate democratic rule around the world. Mr. Speaker, we in Ghana have had our fair share of political instability and experimentation about how we should govern ourselves. There might be new names being ascribed to some of the supposed new ideas being canvassed by some today. But I dare say on close examination, we will discover that they are not new. We have tried them here, and they have failed. We know about all-powerful, cannot-be-questioned messiahs. We know about liberators, and we know about redeemers and deities in military uniform. It might sound new to some, but those of us who have been around for a while have heard the argument made passionately that democracy was not a suitable form of government if we wanted rapid development. It is a tired argument that was regularly used by apologists for coup d'etats. It also not new to have political parties and politics in general being denigrated. Indeed, there used to be national campaigns of fear waged against politics and political parties. It took time, and it took long battles, but in the end, a consensus did emerge, and we opted for a multi-party democratic form of government under the Constitution which ushered in the Fourth Republic. Mr. Speaker, it is not a perfect document. Constitutions do not ever pretend to be, but it has served us well these past 32 years, considering where we have come from. It is a sacred document that should not be tampered with lightly. But I hasten to add, our Constitution did not descend from heaven. We Ghanaians drew it up to serve our needs, and we can amend it to suit our changing needs and circumstances. We should work towards finding a consensus on the changes that the majority of Ghanaians want made to the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, democracies are founded on elections, and the holding of free and credible elections ensure that people have confidence in the government that emerges at the end of the process. The honorable members of this House, who are at the center of it all, know more than the rest of us that this is an election year. The increased decibel level in all communications will ensure that even the most politically uninterested person among us would know that on December 7th, we shall be going to the polls to elect a new president and new members of parliament. A lot of the responsibility lies on the Electoral Commission to put the organization in place that will ensure that we have credible elections. The government is doing its part to make the work of the Electoral Commission go smoothly. A lot of responsibility lies on the political parties as well, and I hope that the parties recognize that their credibility is also on the line, especially with some people wanting to undermine the multi-party democratic system of government. It is up to the parties to demonstrate that competitive elections are an honorable, character-enhancing experience, and that at the end of the process, the loser will congratulate the winner, and the world does not come to an end because an election has been lost. There is nothing inherently dirty or corrupt about politics, and nothing about elections that should generate violence. We who are in politics, and we who are members of political parties, owe it to ourselves, the institutions we claim to belong to, and above all, we owe it to Ghana and the people of Ghana to make politics and elections the serious and joyful phenomenon they should be. In discharging their responsibility, I urge the Electoral Commission to work with the political parties to iron out whatever problems there might be. And I'm happy that the Electoral Commission, after engaging the parties, has shelved plans to change the 7th December date. Politics, after all, has been described as the art of the possible. And if that is what we are engaged in, it should not be beyond us to resolve the problems that come up and concentrate on working to build the happy and prosperous country we want. Government on its part will do what is expected of it to make sure that the reputation of Ghana is not damaged and the free will of the people is manifested at the end of the electoral process. And I want to reassure the people of Ghana that I'll do everything in my power to help ensure the conduct of transparent, free, and fair elections on 7th December. I have confidence in the security services to ensure that those who might want to cause havoc or any kind of mischief to disrupt the electoral process will have no room to operate. Mr. Speaker, there are amongst us those who, for ideological or other unstated reasons, have never accepted multi-party democracy and therefore take every opportunity to portray the governance efforts in the most disparaging manner. There are also those amongst us who consider the rough and tumble of politics to be beneath them and will not want their sainted images to be soiled by what they term the dirt of politics. Mr. Speaker, we can and we should continuously improve upon the performance of the institutions that hold the state together. But nobody should undermine the integrity of the arms of government for parochial reasons. There is definitely much room for improvement in the workings of the executive arm of government, the judiciary, and our parliament. Even those who have had parliaments as part of their governance systems for hundreds of years still make mistakes and sometimes get things alarmingly wrong. It would be surprising if our 31-year-old parliament did not get things wrong sometimes. This august house, which holds so many fond memories for me of my personal political journey, doesn't always measure up to the expectations of the people, or even sometimes of its own members. There's a lot of anxiety currently about how our MPs get elected. There's anxiety about the rapid turnover of members in the House and the loss of institutional memory. There's a lot of anxiety about some of the procedures in the House. We will not all agree with everything that the Parliament does. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, that I do not agree with everything that goes on in here. But that is the beauty of what we as a people are trying to do in our governance structure. Mr. Speaker, the President and appointees are not universally loved. It would be strange and unproductive if they were. It is probably worthwhile making what I consider to be important observations at this stage on some of the issues in our public discourse in the lead up to the elections for a new president. Under the Constitution, the executive power of the state is vested in the President of the Republic. He or she is the executive. There's no ambiguity about where the buck stops when it comes to responsibility for what happens in the government. It stops with the President. He or she has ultimate responsibility. It would be an unwise president that would pretend to have all the answers and refuse the advice of his officials. But the fact remains that the president holds the executive power. The cabinet, the ministers of state, all act ultimately in an advisory manner. Of course, a member of the government might take an idea, be it generated by the president or the official or a committee, and turn it into a huge success, and the honors will be claimed or shared where public perception falls. But ultimately, the president is responsible and therefore takes the credit or the blame for whatever happens in his or her government. Mr. Speaker, let me make a second point. The programs that come from the executive benefit from the rigorous public examination and debates to which they are subjected. We all now take for granted and sometimes even bemoan the vigorous media and civil society organization scrutiny that characterize public discourse. It gives me quite satisfaction and great pride to hear young Ghanaians today who believe that criticizing the President of the Republic and challenging government proposals are normal, regular activities. Some of the young people listen with incredulity when they hear about a Ghana that was once without private radio stations, and people had to tune into foreign stations to hear critical and opposition voices. Today, there are some 550 radio stations in operation in this country. In spite of all its shortcomings and difficulties, the people of Ghana have shown admirable commitment to multi-party democracy and have not fallen for the instigations to resort to the violent overthrow of an elected government. The past 32 years of the Fourth Republic have witnessed the most sustained period of stability and economic growth in our country. And we should be proud of what we have achieved and seek to protect and build on it. And that is why the theme for the 67th Independence Anniversary celebration on 6th March in Koforidua is Our Democracy, Our Pride. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report on the progress we're making in the administration of justice. This past year, a total of 76 judges and magistrates were appointed. They comprised the new Chief Justice, 2 new Justices of the Supreme Court, 23 new High Court judges, 29 Circuit Court judges, and 21 new magistrates. 262 staff were recruited to address some of the human resource gaps created because of the newly established courts throughout the country. In January 2024, 3 additional justices have been appointed to the Supreme Court to replace 3 justices who have retired from the court. We've made unprecedented progress in the provision of court buildings and residences for judges around the country. In 2020, government set out to construct 120 courthouses with residential facilities nationwide. As of 31st January 2024, 67 courthouses have been successfully inaugurated and are in use at various sites around the country. 12 completed projects have been slated for inauguration by the end of this month of February 2024. The remaining 21 projects are at various stages of completion and are expected to be completed and inaugurated before May 2024. In addition, 121 residential units have been constructed for judges throughout the country. Further, 20 fully furnished 4-bedroom units, together with social amenities, have been constructed for justices of the Court of Appeal in Kumasi. The project is not yet complete, but we have done enough to be able to say that we have resolved the problem of the disgraceful state of court buildings. The attention now is to the digitalization process of the courts to modernize the entire system. The Judicial Service has undertaken a digitalization initiative to modernize legal operations and foster greater access to justice. A virtual court system was introduced during the COVID-19 pandemic to ensure the continuity of business. The virtual court system was also rolled out to 17 courts, then subsequently to 19 high courts for the smooth hearing of court cases. By the end of December 2023, 160 courts had been equipped with devices for the real-time transcription of cases, in addition to 51 courts piloting the paperless court system in Accra. The integration of real-time transcription devices in 160 courts has revolutionized the way in which court proceedings are recorded and documented. The service is rolling out a comprehensive digitalization of the court system. The Attorney General has continued in a very effective manner the tradition under this administration of contesting every single litigation against the state, and has avoided the numerous judgment debts that used to be given against the state. The Office of the Attorney General, as a result, has saved the country over 10 trillion Ghana cedis. All the evidence is there. I shall be performing a pleasant duty in a few weeks' time when I commission the Law House, the 12-story office building which will house the offices of the Attorney General and the Ministry, and finally bring to an end the age-old office accommodation problem. I must declare a personal interest in it, as the building was started when I was Attorney General in the government of President John Agyekum Kufuor back in 2001. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge and share the frustration and deep disappointment we all have that a convergence of events and fate have conspired to place impediments on the path of the rapid development trajectory we were on. I'm proud that despite of the dramatic financial crisis that we encountered in 2021, whose worst effects became manifest in 2022, the transformative measures we introduced in the first 4 years of office make it possible to showcase an impressive array of developmental projects across the length and breadth of the country. I do not intend to go through the long, even if interesting process of enumerating the projects the Akufo-Addo government has undertaken since coming into office, their location, and what stage of completion they are in. Mr. Speaker, with the best will in the world, there simply will not be the time to do that, even if we spend all day here. It will be recalled that last year, during the message on the state of the nation, faced with a similar problem about road projects, I came to the House armed with a fat book that had the details of the road projects around the country, and all honorable members were given copies to go through at their own leisure. I haven't had anybody point out one. This year, we're taking things to a higher level. This government, after all, is the digitalization government. And the man who has led the entire digitalization process these past 7 years my indefatigable vice president, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Dr. Digitalization, the MPP's excellent presidential candidate for the 2024 election. Is coming out with what will allow everyone and everybody and anyone to check on every project being undertaken by the government without having to listen to the president's message on the state of the nation. We are calling it the performance tracker. You can check and satisfy yourself about the status of the projects and their location. And you could stop by and make a physical inspection if you were so minded. Mr. Speaker, if you want to check on roads, classroom blocks or chip compounds or Agenda 111 hospitals, or bridges, or science laboratories, or water projects or sanitation projects, or landing sites and harbors, and other infrastructural projects, or whatever this government use your tax money to execute, the key to your query is right there on your phone. Mr. Speaker, the performance tracker will be formally launched in March, and I'm offering it as a device which will help bring accountability into your hands. With the performance tracker, we can be sure that never again will pictures of an artist's impression be offered as projects that have been completed. I'm able to recommend the performance tracker in the sure knowledge that the Akufo-Addo government has done more in education in terms of student enrollment, teacher training and employment, provision of infrastructure than any government. We have similarly done more in health, agriculture, security, roads, railways, tourism, digitalization than any other government. Thanks to the performance tracker, the president no longer has to go through lists. And I have the confidence to say that every performance indicator used shows we have done more in these 7 years than in any of the 8 years under the National Democratic Congress. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, on coming into office 7 years ago, my government took the decision, as we promised, to modernize and formalize the economy through digitalization. In this regard, we have embarked on one of the most far-reaching